culture that I grew up in. When I jumped into real estate, it made a lot of sense to continue that work ethic.
Well, you really came out swinging. I think you mentioned you got Rookie of the Year at the Justin Landis Group. How did you accomplish that?
I was incredibly proud because I was a girl who thought, I don't know, I can do this.
It comes to a new agent. What is the number one advice you would give to them?
Saying yes to everything sure did help. I think I would have had better parameters or more focus on my time.
Being a new agent, would you recommend joining a team like you did or kind of go about it alone? Or what's your thought on that?
Joining the right team is super important. Making sure that you're going to receive what you really need in that season of your career.
Let's transition into this part-time versus full-time. Are you actually full-time or part-time?
That's the time I'm initiating my business. That is my dedicated time to work. People will always get my priority. That's my strength.
You know, a little bit more logical, and that's how I think, just engineering brain.
You really need an athletic mindset in this business.
Life goes on, let it roll off, don't take it personal. I love that. Today on the Atlanta Agent Playbook, we're sitting down with Rachel Smith, a top performing agent who does more volume part-time than most agents do full-time. She has built reputation for white glove service and a calm diplomatic communication. Rachel is a coach at heart, a mom of 3 boys, and someone who believes real estate is about serving, connecting, and guiding people through one of the biggest moments of their lives. Rachel, great to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's one of the nicest things people have said about me all year.
I love it. Well, let's start at the beginning. What actually got you into real estate in the first place?
Good question to start with. I have really only been doing this for about 5 years. So I got married, had kids, moved to Atlanta, not in that order. Got married, moved to Atlanta, had 3 boys, and then I really threw myself into raising kids. I did a lot of volunteer work for the school, and that became sort of a full-time job. I think listeners could probably relate to that, where you end up doing a lot of volunteer stuff. And then during the pandemic, my husband was like, hey, I bet you could do stuff for money. And I was like, oh, I don't know.
Do I have to?
Do I have to? And I had some part-time work through like raising my kids, but they were my first priority. And I said, well, I don't know what I would do. And he was like, well, you sort of scroll through Zillow like it's Instagram. And I was like, huh. And he encouraged me to try my hand at real estate. And I said, yeah, I'll take the class and see what happens. I mean, who knows? It's the pandemic. Why not? And so I signed myself up for an online class and passed the test, got through everything. And then I called the Justin Landis Group. I just Googled the top team in Atlanta, and that was it. And I was like, oh, that's where I should go. So I called him excessively. I got an interview and then ended up working with his team for a year. And I've been with Justin, not on the team, but with the brokerage for 5 years now, and came out swinging. I had a lot of energy when I came out. Because I was at home with kids mostly and doing volunteer stuff. And I was like, whoa, I can make real money. This is super fun. And I get to serve people and do the things that I love. So it was a great fit.
Nice. Amazing. It sounds like, from what I've gathered so far in our conversation in the past, is like you've got that entrepreneurial spirit in you. For you to come out and you're like, all right, I've been a mom for years and now I can like unleash what's inside of me. Like where does that entrepreneurial spirit come from?
I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. My dad started his own business. And my mom was right alongside him. So I had firsthand experience watching them do a business. And I think that I also grew up in a family with incredible work ethic, and a lot of them are farmers or work in more rural communities and sort of work around the clock in ways that I think living in the city we don't necessarily understand. But that was the culture that I grew up in. And so when I jumped into real estate, it made a lot of sense to continue that work ethic, especially watching the model of my dad. My dad basically was like, if it's there, get it. Go do something with it. And that's kind of my life motto is she did something with it,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of an athletic mindset to just go, you know?
Well, you really came out swinging. I think you mentioned you got Rookie of the Year at the Justin Landis Group.
I did, yeah.
How did you accomplish that, and like what did that mean to you?
I mean, I was incredibly proud because I was a girl who thought, I don't know that I can do this. And I think a lot of us agents enter this and say, man, I don't know if I can,
Mm,
but I'm going to give it a good try. And I think a couple of things set me up really well for that. I had 6 months of savings, so I didn't have to risk a lot at the beginning. Like I could,
right.
I wasn't desperate at the beginning, which allowed me to sort of learn the industry and take in everything I could. I also would say that first 6 months, I said yes to everything.
Mm,
If someone on the team was like, hey, someone's locked out of their own house, my seller is, can someone go pop a lockbox? I'd be the first to be like, absolutely, I'm on it.
mhm.
There's no pay in that. There are no like thank yous necessarily. There's like,
Right.
but just for my own edification, I just said yes. And I was like, I will do whatever it takes to get in there and learn. I need to learn how to pop a lockbox. I need to
Mhm.
learn how to serve the people I don't know because this person that's standing at their front door was a perfect stranger to me. But putting myself in positions to learn was the most important thing in that particular season. So that first year, I said yes to everything, and I took every bit of information that my team would give me. I mean, I
Mm.
just absorbed it, and I did what they said, and it worked.
So when it comes to a new agent, what is the number one advice you would give to them? Is there anything that you would do different starting in those first 6 months and being a yes person? Or what's the advice for some new agents out there?
Good question. Um, when you say yes to everything, it means that your time is spread all over the place. So there's very little focus.
Mm,
And I think that looking back, I still would have said yes, but maybe a little bit more boundaried in how I used my time or making sure that it made more sense. Although saying yes to everything sure did help.
right.
I think I would have had better parameters or more focus on my time, specifically on lead generation, making sure that I'm building relationships in a specific amount of time.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then as far as like being a new agent, would you recommend joining a team like you did or kind of go about it alone? Or what's your thought on that?
Man, I think teams are great. I think I liked being on a team. I'm an individual agent now. Joining the right team is super important,
Hmm.
making sure that you're going to receive what you really need in that season of your career. I basically needed to learn everything. I remember sitting down with the marketing person, and I'm older. I have older kids, and sat down with the marketing person and I was like, need to meet with you and I'm going to need some support. And she was like, yeah, yeah. What do you need? Like, do you need strategy? Do you need like flyers? Do you need like, what can we help you
Hmm.
with? And I was like, I really just need to know what the buttons on Instagram do. And she was like, are you kidding? And I was like, I'm definitely not. So I felt like for someone like me who is coming brand new into the industry, and to be honest, not like navigating an entrepreneurial bend, I really needed to learn a lot. And so it
Yeah.
was good for me to join a team. I do think that at the end of the year, it was important to me to make sure that I was making decisions for myself. And when I started looking at my numbers, I just said, gosh, I think that I can save some money if I go on my own.
Right.
Can I do this? That was the big question. And I have a number of agents who come to me and say, I'm on a team. I'm paying these splits. It's
Hmm.
super hard. I think I should leave. And they're kind of like frustrated or upset with the team and da da da. And I always say, just look at your numbers and go talk with your team lead. They probably will work with you. But
Hmm.
I'm a big proponent in looking at the data and saying, like keeping track of your data and saying, gosh, can I do this for this amount? And if you can, go give it a try. But if you look at those numbers and you're like, they really are supplying everything that I am really weak in, stay on your team.
Yeah.
But those splits, like teams are harder to pay for. Um, but I think when I pulled my numbers, I looked at it and I was like, oh, some of the strength of the team is similar to my own strength. And so I'm
Hmm.
kind of doubling up here. And so either I need to join a different team that's going to support some of my deep weaknesses, or go on my own. So decided to go on my own after a year.
Nice. And how were you always part-time or were you at all full-time? Or let's transition into this part-time versus
Yeah.
full-time because that's one of the things that you're almost touting like, "Hey, I'm a mom.
I got
I'm
stuff to
I've got
do.
stuff to do."
Yeah.
How do you are you actually full-time or part-time?
So it's tricky because, well, I'll tell you this. When I started, I worked full time. I mean,
Mhm.
when I was on the team, I was full time because I was also navigating the team, wanted to invest in the team well, wanted to be a team player. And so that took more time. That
Yeah.
was one of the things at the end of my time on the team where I was like, man, if I took away the time I was spending on the team, that frees up a good bit for my own business. But
Mhm.
can I do it on my own? That, like, I
Y
don't know. It was kind of scary. Once I went on my own, I figured out after about a year and a half that I could work like diligently. And when I say work, I mean like I'm ready to sit down and work. At 8:30, I skip lunch, and then
Mhm.
I work directly till 1. And that's my what I call my spark time. Some people call it lead generation, some people call,
Yeah.
but that's the time I'm initiating my business. And that is my dedicated time to work. I don't dilly dally around.
Right.
I literally have a plan. I know how many calls I need to make. I know who I need to respond to in emails. I know how many deals I have going. Now, granted, when I have 5 under contract, 4 or 5, the wheels sort of fall off. And that's something I'm working on right now.
Mhm.
But in earnest, I work from 8:30 to 1 every day, Monday through Friday. And then the rest of my day is just responding to anything that comes up, which is quite quick. Like I don't have to go back to my desk if I've initiated well in that early part. Someone calls me back and is like, "Oh my gosh, I missed your call. I'd love to catch up." And I'm like, "Great. I'd love to catch up. I've got 5 minutes. I'm in carpool line." It's
Right.
a really great way to say, "Hey, I have a parameter, but I
Mm.
still really want to talk with you. And I'm a real person. And so we can connect on a couple of different levels." We can talk about my double connection theory in a minute, but I feel like that's how I have been able to balance a family is that like I don't mind responding while I'm making dinner at
Mm.
6:30 because it's like a 5-minute call.
Yeah.
But I'm not wasting a lot of energy initiating in those hours. So I'm really focused on something else and I'm just responding and I know what the response has to be. So it just doesn't take that much energy.
Yeah.
So that's how I would say I'm working part-time. I also take Sundays completely off. If I can. That was one thing I learned quickly in year 2 was that I was working too much because I
Yeah.
had no lines.
Mm.
And so Sundays, I really just try to say, I've got appointments all day, or I'm already booked all day on Sunday because I technically am. And I do put it on my calendar that
Right.
I'm scheduled with my family on Sundays.
Yeah. I love that. It's like about setting boundaries and
Mhm.
then being 100%, like you said, you've got like your focus hour. I'm 100% here. I'm not like, let's say watching a movie and trying to like do work with, and then spend time with my kids. It's about being 100% in and focused in that moment. But I love what you said about almost blending your life and work as well. Like if you set it up, your systems and processes, you set the right expectations, it can be done like where you can just, all right, I'm in the car, I'm in carpool line, but I can take a quick minute, 2-minute phone call and that's going to set me up ahead. So it's almost like blending those
Mhm.
two and just being okay with, all right, being an agent isn't really a job. It can be like more of a lifestyle too.
It has to be a job for a certain amount. I think that's one thing I run into with new agents is they're like, I really want flexibility. Well, that's so nice. But it's not actually flexible. It is non-traditional.
Right.
Like
Mm,
you can decide what your hours are going to be, which is wonderful. But it's not very flexible. Like when I have a client call me at 7 o'clock at night and I've just sat down, I'm gonna answer because
right.
they need something. Unless I've really set my parameters and said, I know you want to see 24 houses on Saturday. I'm gonna need a minute to take a breath. So I do have an auto text that I set up on my phone that automatically replies to anyone after 6 o'clock.
Mm,
That just says, "Hey, super glad that you texted. I'll get to you tomorrow morning with a big cup of coffee at 8 a.m." So that I push them into my initiating hours.
I love that. I remember when we did that deal on the West Side together. I think I got hit with that text. I was like, okay, all right. I don't mind
Clear.
it.
Oh my gosh. And then some people try to do it twice. Maybe you tried it twice and then they get the same message. And then it finally is like, oh, this is real.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's automated. That's so good. How do you decide what gets your priority?
People will always get my priority. That's my strength. And so I think one of the things that was helpful in year 3 was I realized I needed to take enough wasted time to figure out what my priorities were
Mm-hmm.
and what my strengths were. I don't think we often sit to just think. And so I decided that year that December and some of November, I would just give myself enough space to really think about my business,
Mm-hmm.
reevaluate everything, pull my numbers. And I think a lot of agents do that. In December, we're all kind of trying to figure out what our next year is going to look like. So I think I spent a good bit of time really prioritizing and saying, okay, these are my rules that I'm going to live by next year. And then I don't change them.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of calls that are like, hey, I've got leads to sell to you. Basically, you can slice that however you want. It's really helpful for me to say, if you really want to talk with me, you can call me December 5th. Because that's when I'm reevaluating my business and I'm willing to entertain these calls in December, but right now I'm not. But there's some clarity around making those rules and you need to spend enough time building that out. But I have found that helpful. I live by a number of rules. So like 8:30 to 1 every day, and then I respond. I don't respond. I answer my phone all the time, but I always have an answer for those people who are looking to market, whatever. And I say, call me in December. I always set my auto response after 6:00. There are just some things that help me pull my business back. I never work on Sundays, or I always will use a TC. Pretty sure I don't even know how to do contract to close.
Yeah.
That's a dirty little secret. The only way that I can produce volume is to work within my strengths, which is talking with people.
Right. It's about leveraging time and, spending your time on the highest money generating activities, but also spending your time on the things that you're really good at and you're passionate about. And it sounds like you focus that time on your clients and you let some of that admin stuff, go to the transaction coordinators. You mentioned you hired an assistant recently.
Yes.
What made you make that decision?
I was working outside of my 8:30 to 1.
Yeah.
I was doing stuff that was more administrative that didn't feel like it was in my wheelhouse. I really want most of that time between 8:30 and 1 working on things under contract or active clients, along with relationship building. And so once I started going beyond that parameter, I was like, oh man, I'm going to need some support. So I hired someone, and I've learned that I was telling you earlier, I'm not super easy to work for. I think I'm sweet as pie, but I am detailed, but also I'm just used to doing this on my own.
Right.
And so I have a certain way of looking at things where I'm like, oh, I'll just get that done really quickly because I can do it quick on the road, on the side of the road, whatever. I have been learning how to hand things off and to describe them well enough to where someone else can really pick up. I think the thing with hiring an assistant that has been something I wish I would have known is that they want to be doing this.
Right.
I have a hard time understanding that because I look at some of the work that we do as agents and I'm like, oh my gosh, if it's not with people, I am bored. I am not interested. But I'm married to someone who's very administrative, and he keeps telling me, I promise you that there are people in the world who have no interest in being social, and have no interest in lead generating or putting themselves out there in a sales way. And I finally believe it. And that's the kind of assistant that I really needed, was someone who could really pick up the parts that I'm just are not my favorite. So it's been working out.
One of the things that I can relate to this too, because one of the things I struggled with hiring our first virtual assistant was like trying to just trust them to do it at the same standard. And then, there's something to be said when you're almost like, if you fully hand it off, they're so much more happy and feel like they're accountable for, all right, I actually own this, and
Mhm.
Benjamin's not going to micromanage me every step of the way. And they just are happier. They do a better job. And
Mhm.
yes, our mistakes going to happen, but that's where you're able to like coach them through it and try to provide as positive feedback as you can without, pushing
Yeah.
them away. So yeah, I
Yeah.
totally can relate to that.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about inviting them onto your team, even though I don't have a team. Like, but inviting people along, and I do that with my clients as well. Sort of everything I do is an invitation just to come along with me.
Hmm.
And then people feel like you're working together. That does make deals go smoother if they feel like you are working toward the same end. And I think that's true
Mm.
working with other agents like you and I. Like there were some repairs on the house that we worked on together,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you and I both were like, I don't know. I mean, let's just figure this out together. Like, how do we make this work? We're both going for the same thing. I've worked with agents who are not as cooperative, and I've worked with assistants who are not as cooperative. And
Mm.
so, and that is up to me as a leader to invite people into a collaborative setting.
Yeah.
And I think it works a lot better. That's what I have found with my assistant is my primary job is to invite her along in a really good way.
Hmm.
And so how do I really figure out what she needs from me?
It's so funny that you mentioned that we collaborated well on that deal, because I felt like you weren't going to come on this podcast for everything that's happened on that deal.
Well, I
But,
thought twice. No, I'm just kidding. We got
but
to the closing table.
we did. We
We did
did.
not sit in the same room with the buyer and the seller, did we?
No, I think someone was out of town or something. I don't
Oh,
remember.
I think I put my seller in another space.
Oh, that's
I'm
right.
pretty sure.
Oh, that's right. I
That
do
was
remember
when
that.
he looked at me and he was like, "Why are we not closing with the buyer?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know."
Oh.
And he was like, "I've never had this before." And he looked me dead in the eye. He's like, "Are you afraid of what I would say?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And he was like, "Oh." And I was like, "Yep." And he goes, "I'll work with you again." And I was like, "Holy cow, are you sure?" Oh my gosh. So yeah, and we have worked together again. Anyway.
One of the things that I admired through that deal was your communication. And I know you call it diplomatic communication, or that's how you mentioned it before. What does that mean exactly?
Segue, because I think it is really communicating in a way that um, invites people onto the same team, that we
Mm.
become collaborative partners. I do that with my clients. I see myself as a coach with my clients more than someone who's doing the transaction. Like I really invite them along with me and hope they invite me back. And I
Hmm.
do say that in my buyer and seller consult is that I want an invitation to work with you. I will always follow your lead, but we're on the same team.
Mm.
And even when things get contentious, which they do with other agents, with vendors, with your client, like I do always come back to saying, "Hey, you and I are on the same team. I just want to remind you, like, this is not my list of things to fix.
Hmm.
Like, this is something we have been presented, and we just need to make a good decision. And I'm going to advise you along the way." That creates a more diplomatic setting that is more manageable and more even keeled. And if I keep that in mind, that I have no enemies in this deal,
Hmm.
I will get to the closing table. And I think that's what people like about me when they're working with me is like I'm very clear with my clients. I will always follow your lead. I'm just here to tell you what I think the best way to get to the closing table is. And if you deny it, no, that's all right. Like I'm not hurt. You
Yeah.
can't hurt me. You're a separate entity from me, and
Right.
I don't identify with you. Like, but I'm
Right.
on your team. I'm here for you.
Mm.
So it does keep it more even keeled.
I think that's one of the main things that I actually learned from you and that deal was to just separate myself. A lot of agents, I think newer agents make the mistake of like being too emotionally invested, right?
Oh,
At
100%.
at the end of the day, we're just the messenger. It's not really our house. We are on the same team and we want what's best. But
Yep.
if you remove yourself and are just, a little bit more logical, and that's how I think just engineering brain, it's like present the options to your client or to the agent or whoever you're talking to. And if you take the emotions out of it, it just makes it a little bit easier versus trying to feed into it because it is
Exactly.
an emotional transaction.
It's highly emotional for our clients, absolutely. And if we give into that, it's really makes it very, very stressful.
Hmm.
I have a I have a colleague who, like, I'll call her sometimes and she'll just be like honking and she'll be like, get out of the way. Da, da, da." Like she's so high stress. Um, and I've done a few deals with her and it's very emotional.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly right. Like that's sort of that's an important thing to remember. It makes me think of you really need an athletic mindset in this business
Mm.
where like this isn't about emotions. It's just we're all on a different team. We're playing on behalf of our teammates. We come up against each other, knock each other's teeth out a little bit, but we're gonna be fine at the end of the day.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
know.
I felt like we were knocking each other's teeth on that deal. And then I would almost like call you like, is Rachel gonna be pissed? Is she okay? Like, and then you're like, yep, what's up? Yeah. Like, I don't know how you do it. But the other thing you preach is the white glove service. Walk me
Yeah.
through that. Like, what is the client experience? What does that mean for a client? I'm giving you
Yeah.
white glove service.
It means that I'm thinking about them the whole time.
Mm,
I'm not thinking about my pay at the end of the day. I'm not thinking about my numbers. I really am trying to think about what they need. I work with a lot of families. I work with some higher price points that are really looking for a home. And
mm,
so, I mean, I've walked into kitchens and said, "Where do you think your knife block would go in this kitchen?" And they're like, "Oh my gosh, I never would have thought of that." I'm like, "Yes, we have 4 bedrooms and 3 baths. That's great. But
mm-hmm,
let's think about the functionality of this kitchen because it's not very functional." And they're
mm.
like, "Oh my gosh, thank God somebody said that." So I'm always thinking about what their needs are and how their family might function in a space or how they individually might function in a space. I also know that buying a house is such a big celebration for a family and
Yeah.
it's such a big transition. And they're going through a lot. And so making sure that they have all the information that they need. I set expectations on the front end very, very clearly. And I communicate it in lots of different learning styles. So I do
Mm-hmm.
it verbally, I do it in writing. We do sort of role play, trying to make sure they understand how a deal can go through. Um, I also send little bits along the way. So due diligence dessert, like once we get through due diligence, we celebrate and I'm like,
Mm.
share with your friends. This is super fun. Congratulations. Once we get to the closing table, at the walkthrough, I bring confetti and we do confetti poppers and like we take
Cool.
fun pictures. And then I have someone come in right after that to clean up the confetti, but we are on our way, and a lot of it I learned this the hard way because people were like, "Oh my gosh, this is my new house I'm getting tomorrow, and now it's full of confetti." And I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, you're right. Shoot." And so I would be out there like cleaning up the confetti when I'm like, "Go out of the closing, you'll be fine. I'll be there in a minute," cleaning up confetti. So I learned to a small touch is to bring in someone that I hire on a contractual basis to come in with a wet vac and
Mm.
clean it up. And so when they get back to their place, it's all clean, it's all blown away, and they're ready for a new home. So little details along the way to make people feel really well cared for, I think is important. One of the
Yeah.
books I read was Unreasonable Hospitality. Have you read that?
I've heard of it. I haven't gone through it, no.
It's really great to help us think about our business. It comes from the perspective of a restaurant owner, but
Mm.
just thinking about details about how do you really allow people to experience something rather than just have a transaction.
Mm.
So I try to implement that as much as I can in my business.
It's all those little things that matter. I feel like personally, I would have totally failed as a real estate agent right out of school,
Oh, yeah.
engineering school. It wasn't until, I had a hospitality job and I was working at Houston's at the time, serving and trying to provide, that white glove treatment. And then I did consulting for about 4.5 years. And we were in charge of like large clients that really mattered and learning those communication skills, learning about what it means to provide that white glove service and making sure the client is taken care of.
Yeah.
That was the only way that, like, I took all those things, right? And that's what makes a realtor successful. A lot of people just think, oh, we're here to open up doors, and yeah, it's a 3 bedroom 4 bathroom or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's all those little things and everything in between that maybe we don't quantify. That's really what makes the client experience what it is. So
I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm just curious, what does white glove service look for you?
oh man. For us, I pulled a lot of what we learned in consulting. And it's just like proactive expectation. A lot of these agents are like, pick up the phone, you're talking to a client, oh, you want this kind of home? All right, let's just start touring homes. I'm very system and process.
Yeah.
So we go through two PowerPoint presentations before I even open up a door. So, I take them from a discovery call to a buyer consultation guide call. We set all the right expectations. They get to learn about what it means to, work with us. And then along the way, we always try to surpass their expectations.
Mhm.
So, a lot of the time, and maybe I can get in trouble with it, but for negotiations, I can tell they're probably okay with a $5,000 concession. But I'm always like trying to like wow them. If I can get to 6 or 7, they're gonna be like, wow, that's amazing.
Yep.
But it's it's trying to set the right expectations, but don't you kind of want to over deliver on
Mhm.
those or try to over deliver on those. And it's just being there for them every step of the way. I mean, we do all those little things as well, like provide gifts. And, most of our clients end up becoming friends, at
Yeah.
least the ones that I like, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But
Same, even the ones I don't like. I'm like,
we,
shoot, we're friends now. No, I'm just kidding.
we take it to such a yes, we're organized and I'm very much into the process of everything, but we take it to such a deep human level that like we end up becoming friends after this transaction. And I'm looking at it long term. We
Mhm.
haven't spent a dollar on leads
Mhm.
or marketing. It ends up being we do such a great job. We treat them the way they need to be treated, and they refer us, and we become friends for years to come. And we're invited to their this Saturday. I'm going to a client's Christmas party at their house that we sold them last year. Like
Yes.
those are that's why we're doing all this, and just by doing all those little things and providing that higher service and surpassing their expectation, like that's what it's all about.
Yeah, totally agree. You and I are cut from the same cloth. That's how we got to the closing table.
Was that a good answer?
Yeah, that was a great answer. Yeah.
I wanted to shift into what's next for you and your mindset. Your mindset's something that I really admire. You said that, you're always looking for the best in people. You're
Mhm.
listening and connecting. How does that guide your business today?
I would say in looking for the best in people, I think that keeps me really positive,
Mhm.
and keeps me energetic. I think in our business, I went in wide eyed and was like, this is going to be amazing. But I mean, as I mentioned earlier, like you get your teeth kicked in a
Mm.
few times, and like you really have to figure out how to keep your mindset positive. And I think looking for the best in people, even when they kick your teeth in, is super important to keep yourself going.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think you get far in this industry without really assuming the best and loving people well, because you get crapped on a lot. And our clients don't know that.
Yeah.
And we try not to let them know that. At least I do.
Yeah.
I
Our
think you do
job's to be
too.
the shield.
Yep,
Mhm.
totally the shield and make everything feel very smooth. But man, some of those conversations I've had have been contentious or completely indifferent, which is also
Mm.
harmful and difficult to work with. Yeah.
Speaking to those agents out there, like how do you stay positive? Are there like little things that you do every day? Are there, do you do affirmations, meditation? Like you hear all
Yes.
these little tricks. Like what's your thing and what works for you?
Yeah, my two things that I think every morning, and I actually say out loud, my husband makes a lot of fun of me. I'm always saying, go, Rachel, go. Like just go and see what happens. Open the door
I love
and
that.
go, Rachel, go. So almost every morning I am like trying to gear up to get like my kids are out the door and I get dressed every day. I know that sounds really silly, but
Mm,
I think a lot of agents will work in their pajamas for a long
yes.
time and like we kind of just loaf through the day.
Mm-hmm.
I want to always be ready to either close or show a house. And so I get dressed for that every day
Love that.
before I go to work. And sometimes I don't show or close, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready for it if it happens. So I would say, like, to keep a positive mindset, I say, go, Rachel, go. And then I recently had someone who really did say, the thing I admire about you is you do something with it. And I hope that that's my legacy, is that people will say she did something with it. And I think that keeps me positive to say whatever is handed to me, even if my teeth are kicked in, um, did I do something with it? Did I learn something?
Mm-hmm.
Did I share the knowledge with someone else? Did I create an opportunity somewhere along the way in spite of differences? So those are the two affirmations I sit with and stay positive. I also am boundaried. There's someone in my office who was like, "You are the most boundaried person I know." And what's odd is I think people believe that boundaries are not warm and friendly, and you won't get leads and you won't build relationships. But I'm still very warm and friendly. But I am very clear that you have that issue and I have my issue, and those two things are very separate. And I'm not going to take yours on,
Right.
even though you want me to. Um, I'm gonna let you have your issue, and I know that you don't want to adjust your price, and that's not on me.
Yeah.
Like, there are a lot of examples like that where we sort of take things personally.
Mm-hmm.
But that's that athletic mindset of just being like, man, you've got this going on, and I'm here to be alongside you. I don't agree with what you're doing, but I know that you know best. This is your money. This is your deal. And I'm going to support you in whatever you do. But there has to be some distance between me and the people I'm working with. Same thing with agents. Like, I remember in our conversation, you had requested something, and I was like, that's the dumbest thing ever. That's literally, I just thought, what a dumb ask to put on an ATAC. What a dumb thing. Not in a condescending way at all, but just sort of like, what are we doing here? Like, but I was able to be like, oh, that must be important to them. And for some reason, it's important to your buyer. And that has to be okay to get to the closing table. Otherwise, you get all messed up and anxious.
Yeah.
So just letting people be themselves and have weird things that they request, and you roll with it, But that's the only way you can stay positive, I think, is by separating yourself and being like, well, I'm going to go either way. Go, Rachel, go. And I'm going to do something with this mess.
Yeah.
And figure it out.
Just life goes on. Let it roll off. Don't take it personal.
Right.
I love that.
Right.
Mine's here we go. That's what I tell myself every morning.
Yes.
In the shower. I'm like,
That's
here we
awesome.
go. Here we go.
And what does that do for you?
Oh, it just jazzes me up. Like, it's just I'm like, I don't know. I feel like a quarterback ready to take it on. Like, it's almost like set and go.
Yeah.
I think it's something my coach used to tell me actually in cross country. So
Really?
I just got it from him.
Here we go.
Here we go.
I love that.
So what's next for you?
Oh man, I've been tossing around starting a team for quite a while. I think that would be really exciting. I love working with people. I love talking with newer agents and experienced agents, learning a lot. I'm a good question asker. I've been made fun of it most of my life that I'm a voracious. I don't know what the word is, but I ask a lot of questions. I think that would be exciting. I think I balance that with, I also need to maintain a certain income and certain time parameters because I still have 3 kids at home. So we're sending one to college next year, Lord willing. I'm just kidding.
Congrats.
He's going to go. Thank you. And so senior year of high school is no joke. So I'm figuring out how to let one of my little guys go, who's also 6'5", but so not so little.
Wow.
There was a time where I was like, he was sassing me and I was like, I will punish you. And he was like, looks down at me. He's like, really? And I was like, I mean, no, but I'll do something. Anyway, so I'm trying to balance that out, figure out how much I can actually make adjustments this next year because we'll have a big adjustment as a family. That is why I do the part-time thing.
Yeah.
Because I will love the snot out of those guys and give them my everything. They get my first and best. And it's a privilege to just be able to work in the time that I do, because I also love that. But all that to say, I would love to start a team. I love mentoring agents. I think our brokerage sets up new agents really well. They set up me really well to be an individual agent. So I think that's on the horizon at some point
How old is
soon.
your youngest?
He's 12.
12. Okay.
Yeah. So I've got a middle schooler and then 2 high schoolers.
Okay. So you've got a little time. Do you think you'll be
Yeah.
full time once the youngest one is in college?
Yeah, and I think full time, I think I would still like to do I love doing my initiation between 8:30 and 1. I think that will stay. That'll be a mainstay because it's so relational for me.
Yeah.
It's really life-giving to just make those calls and to make sure everybody's taken care of. I could see the latter part needing to be filled with like a team or with something a little bit different.
Watch out, world.
What?
You're part-time.
Stop.
You're part-time now. Can't imagine the production and the growth and everything that you'll do full-time. So
would you say that how many hours do you work?
it's different. It's different all the time, right? We've got like really big 60 to 80 hour weeks, and then sometimes we scale back. Recently, we've been launching our brokerage motto, and I've upgraded from being a realtor to, all right, now I want to be a coach. Now I want to grow a team. And launching a business is not easy. I thought, okay, I'm an agent. Being a broker is easy, but it's not.
How hard can it be? Oh, it turns out super hard.
It's a whole separate business, right, that we're building. So I'm in my build phase right now. So we're putting in a lot of time. We're having a lot of conversations. We're learning from agents, networking a lot, and just building the systems to set up our brokerage and our future business. So, but there are times like we were talking last year, I traveled 136 days and yes, we worked a little bit. Yes, we took calls at 2 a.m. because a client needed it.
Yeah.
But, we learned a ton about building a business and setting up the systems and processes. And yeah, so it depends. And, Lexi and I are going to take the journey of having some kids of our own as well.
Yeah.
Very
Watch
soon.
out, world.
So
Speaking of.
maybe I won't be working anything but part-time very soon.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I feel like, I'm doing it right. And I've really appreciated kind of learning from you and your perspective, and think I'm exactly where I want to be. So, well, I need to wrap this up, even though I'm enjoying this, Rachel. And I think we can keep talking.
Yeah.
We ask every single one of our guests this one question. This is the Atlanta Agent Playbook. Our entire goal is to collect plays from the top producing agents in Atlanta. So what is your play that you want to put in our playbook? What is that one play that you can give back that would take Atlanta agents to the next level?
Man, I thought about this and I was like, be consistent. I think everybody says that. Find what you really like and be consistent. More specifically, I consistently make a double phone call. So I'm never calling for just one reason. So I'm never making a call to just get your business. I'm always calling to see how your family's doing, or I saw something on Instagram that I thought was funny and I thought I'd call and say hello. And then if real estate comes up, which I always ask how their business is, it's sort of a natural flow, but there's always a dual interest for my phone calls. Same thing with calling agents. There's always a dual interest. So if I'm reverse prospecting, I'm not just calling about my deal. I'm calling about what else they have that might be off market that I could send to my buyers. So I'm always thinking in a double way so that I'm, one, not too salesy. Like I think if we talk a lot about like lead generation, which much of our job is, and if we are just calling for our own interests singularly, we sound salesy and stupid.
Yeah.
But if we have a dual interest, and sometimes the trifecta, where you're like, how are your kids? Oh my gosh, I saw this on Instagram. And by the way, I have this house in your neighborhood, or hey, I'm sitting in a coffee shop in your neighborhood. Thought I'd say hi. Like, how are you? How are the kids? Anyway, there's always a double something, if not triple.
Love that. The double phone call. All right.
Double phone call. Don't waste your time.
Yeah. Get that 2 for 1 or 3 for 1.
Yes, always.
Well, Rachel, I really enjoyed this. Thank you so
too.
much for being on this. And I guess one last question. How can viewers or people reach out to you?
Oh man, thanks for asking. I'm on Instagram because now I know how the buttons work.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm at Rachel_makes_home. And you can look at makeshome.com, makes-home.com to find my website. I'm at Bolst, great brokerage, lots of different places. Call me. I'm always available.
Amazing. Thank you, Rachel.
I mean, not after 6, but no, I'm just kidding.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
your
you.
time and sharing your playbook with us.
It's awesome. Good to be here. Thanks.